People send me really good ones, and I had to share this with a couple of people today to make sure it wasn't off color and not offensive, and but it's pretty funny. Hope you enjoy it. So, I don't know if you knew this or not, but they did have a policy change in heaven. Because it was getting a little crowded, God decided to change the admittance policy. And the new law that was, in order to get into heaven, you had to have a really bad day on the day you died. The policy would go into effect at noon the next day. So the next day at 12:01, the first person came to the gates of heaven. The angel at the gate, remembering the new policy, promptly asked the man, "Before I let you in, you need to tell me how your day was going when you died." "No problem," the man said. "I came home from my 25th floor apartment on my lunch hour and caught my wife having an affair. But her lover was nowhere in sight. I immediately began searching for him. My wife was half naked and yelling at me as I searched the entire apartment. Just as I was about to give up, I happened to glance onto the balcony and noticed there was a man hanging off the edge by his fingertips. The nerve of that guy. Well, I ran onto the balcony and stomped on his fingers till he fell to the ground. But wouldn't you know it, he landed in some trees and bushes and broke his spell, and he didn't die, and that ticked him off even more. In a rage, I went back inside to get the first heavy thing I could find to throw at him. Oddly enough, I thought of the refrigerator. I unplugged it, pushed it onto the balcony, tipped it over the side, and it plummeted 25 stories and crushed him. The excitement of the moment was so great, I had a heart attack and died almost immediately." The angel sat back and thought for a moment. Technically, the guy did have a bad day. It was a crime of passion, so the angel announced, "Okay, sir, welcome to the kingdom of heaven," and let him in. A few seconds later, the next guy came up. To the angel's surprise, it was Donald Trump. "Mr. Trump, before I can let you in, I need to hear about what your day was like when you died." Trump said, "No problem, but you're not going to believe this. I was on the balcony of my 26th floor apartment doing my daily exercises. I'd been under a lot of pressure, so I was really pushing hard to relieve my stress. I guess I got a little carried away and slipped, and I accidentally fell over the side. Luckily, I was able to catch myself by the fingertips on the balcony below mine. But all of a sudden, this crazy man comes running out of his apartment, starts cussing, and stomps on my fingers. Well, of course I fell. I hit some trees and bushes at the bottom, which broke my fall, so I didn't die right away. As I'm lying face up on the ground, unable to move and in excruciating pain, I see this guy push his refrigerator, of all things, off the balcony. It fell 25 floors and landed on top of me, killing me." The angel is quietly laughing to himself as Trump finishes his story. He goes, "I can get used to this new policy," he thinks to himself. "Very well," the angel announces, "welcome to the kingdom of heaven," and he lets Trump enter the gates. A few seconds later, Bill Clinton comes up to the gate. The angel's almost too shocked to speak. Thoughts of assassination and war pour through the angel's head. Finally, he says, "Mr. President, please tell me what it was like the day you died." Clinton says, "Okay, picture this. I'm naked in a refrigerator." That's a good one. Thank you, Walter, for that one. Okay, well, like I say, people remember the jokes more than they remember anything else I say, so pick them carefully. Okay, so anyway, what I have chosen to talk about today is the light within, and it's I was so impressed and touched by Rob Wergen this past week. He is a medical intuitive. He's a healer, and he gives full credit to the Spirit of God, the light of God, the love of God for his ability to really heal the way he does. It's miraculous. I know that many of you guys were here. As I said, it was a dark, stormy night, and the room was packed. And I was surprised actually and delighted that so many people did come out. But I now understand why he's so popular. And there's no ego, or he couldn't do what he does. It's just making himself a vessel to infuse, to receive and give love to the fullest and greatest degree. And this light that he talks about is something we do almost every week in our meditations, and that is just infusing ourselves with our consciousness, our bodies, with this perfect light, this perfect love, and nothing can survive at that when that's happening. Nothing but good. Everything of the darkness dispels at this presence. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how we can receive this light more deeply, and how we can truly, one thing I do like about him as well is, again, he doesn't see himself as special or different than anybody. He reinforces the truth that we all have this gift within us. We all have this light within us, and we can all tap into it. But he's just reinforcing through his miracles this belief in each and every one of us. And I know we've all heard this statement, we're all spiritual, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And that is certainly the truth. But many times we get it backwards. We think we're human beings having a spiritual experience, but it's actually the other way around. So once we get that straight in our minds, I know that we're actually more able to receive this light and healing love of God in all ways. And it goes back to say, as children, many of us were aware of the truth as we played with individual playmates and witnessed magic in our backyards. Anyone in here have any of those invisible playmates that don't be shy. Okay, yeah, there you go. And I think that, there was, when we were children, we had these magical experiences. We had these connections with angels and fairies and deities, and many people tell of, when their grandmother died, they're 4 years old and their grandmother would sit on the edge of their bed and say, they'd go into their mom and say, "Oh, Grandma just came to visit me." And they're like, "What are you talking about?" And then come to get the phone call that grandmother had just passed away. So these are actually natural occurrences that we've shut down, and we need to really lift away that veil so we can tune in to the magic of life. And unfortunately, we grew up and we have forgotten who we really are, and so then we don't really know how to help ourselves because we're asleep. We've fallen asleep to this truth and reality of who we are and what's available. But if we just really allow ourselves to connect, with the light of who we are and see beyond our visible world or the physical world into the invisible, into the eternal world, then we can really begin to make space to create the reality of heaven on earth. We can experience these miracles. They're for everybody. The Course in Miracles says miracles occur naturally as expressions of love. And so every time we express love, we're lifting that veil more and more. We're able to receive that healing light. And it's for everybody. I do believe that no one is exempt from receiving this. And what keeps us from being able to turn the light on is this monkey mind and all this chatter and all this judgment and condemnation and fear, which I think there's so much of this playing itself out in the world today that it's real easy to get caught up in the illusion rather than the truth. So as this goes on to say, we no longer live in a predictable world in which we can trust the external authority figures. As we reawaken to truth during this time of great change in the world, we need to access our own inner light to survive as we shift into a new consciousness. With rapid change around us, we must be able to trust our own ability to sense what is happening and how we can best respond. And it's so true. This world has let us all down in a big way, this dream has. And all the political, nonsense back and forth, that's got people so charged up and so separated. And the situations happening in the world every day, I mean, it's just like boom, boom, boom. It's real easy if we're not mindful to get caught up in that, the illusion rather than the truth. But we really have to be more vigilant. The Course in Miracles also speaks that we must be vigilant for God and His kingdom only, period, only. Not trying to fix, change, or any of that. It's about, above all else, I choose the kingdom of God. I choose to see beyond my perceived fear, my judgment. I don't want to defend. I don't choose to attack. I choose to remain peaceful. And then we're making ourselves more receptive to receive this light so it can wash over us. I do believe, our biggest enemy in not being able to receive healings is skepticism. And, sometimes through grace, even as skeptical or disbelieving as we are, sometimes people just get that gift anyway, and that's a wonderful blessing. But I think for the most part, if we don't make room for Spirit to come in and do its work, then we're not going to receive it as fully as we're meant to. And so we have to really question every value that we hold, every thought that we have about everything. See the world forgiven. It's not meant to be fixed, it's meant to be forgiven. Get into that God consciousness of self-love and appreciation and love of others. And sometimes it's not easy, but I think the alternative isn't so wonderful either. It's worth a good shot anyway. So we need to, in this process, take each step from our heart center. We have to, that's where our truth lies. Not from our ego analyzing mind, trying to figure it out. We'll never figure it out. Go into your heart and use those eyes of your heart. And that's why I often place my hands on my heart just naturally in meditation, or when I see a situation I'll just that needs love, or is a call for love, I'll just naturally go here. And that just reminds me to stay in my heart and act from that place. And the truth of the matter is, not everybody is up to doing that at this point in time. And that's okay. It's not about us fixing, changing, trying to convince. We're not in the convincing business here. We're in the flow of living from that place of love. And that's the greatest convincing we can do. It's like, wow, all this stuff's going on, and that person's not even rattled. That's pretty cool. How do they do that? How can they not be wrapped up in fear when the world's falling apart, or when their bank account is nil, or when they're suffering with this illness, whatever it is? How can they do that? So then that's how we draw interest and attract people to really be, to shift themselves. As Gandhi said, we need to be the change we wish to see in the world. This stuff works. It does. We're in a shift, I think, in consciousness, in dimensions of going from the illusion to heaven. And we are here to create heaven on earth. I really believe that. And it's not necessarily about fixing or changing anything. It's about the presence of oneness and unity and non-judgment, and knowing that we are all one. We are all divine. And when we tap into that, that's what we allow space. We allow that space for the emergence of light. The universe is not outside of us. Everything is inside. We need to look inside. All the answers are there. They don't any longer lie in a book or in a lecture. I was speaking, if you get here early on Sunday mornings, we have some interesting conversations. Some of us are here before 10 o'clock, and we talk about this and that, and it's very it's a sweet time, and I invite you to come and just, you get to know people a little better and engage in some meaningful conversations, and people, the support that lies in that time is beautiful. But the conversation this morning was, just about how that we are not, that this center is all about each and every one of us emerging. We're not following a doctrine. We're not following a dogma. This is not a religion. Because anytime you get into anyone's teachings, not that they can't be useful, or anytime you plug into a religion, not that that can't be useful, all of it serves its high and holy purpose, no doubt. And people get what they need to get, because you're definitely attracted. Your vibe is going to lead you to where you need to be. But really, the truth of the matter is, in my mind, we're all lights of God here. There's no separation. I'm here to teach each and every one of you to demonstrate to the best of my ability, and I screw it up big time, many times, and I choose not to beat myself up. But my goal is to see the light and love in each and every person here, and to live from that place. I choose to live as if the universe is conspiring in my favor and your favor, and the truth is, because it is. The universe is conspiring for our greatest good, but we keep blocking it because we think we know better. We don't know better. Believe me, I know that from experience. So this lesson 189 in the Course in Miracles, I feel the love of God within me now. There is a light in you that the world cannot perceive, and with its eyes you will not see this light, for you are blinded by the world. Yet you have eyes to see it. It is there for you to look upon. It was not placed in you to be kept hidden from your sight. This light is a reflection of the thought we practice now. To feel the love of God in you is to see the world anew, shining in innocence, alive with hope, and blessed with perfect charity and love. Who could feel fear in such a world as this? It welcomes you, rejoices that you came, and sings your praises as it keeps you safe from every form of danger and pain. It offers you a warm and gentle home in which to stay a while. It blesses you throughout the day and watches through the night as the silent guardian of your holy sleep. It sees salvation in you and protects the light in you, which it sees as its own. It offers you its flowers and its snow and thankfulness for your benevolence. A world in which forgiveness shines on everything and peace offers its gentle light to everyone is inconceivable as those who see a world of hatred rising from attack, poised to avenge, to murder and destroy. And which one of those feels better? I would say the first. It's what vision are we choosing? We're at the turning point here. We're creating a whole new paradigm, a whole new world where this vision is what we're asked to do. And it's about laying down all my beliefs, all my judgments, knowing that I have the spark of divinity in me, but that divinity resides in everybody. I'm allowing spirit, love, light to guide everything I do. Wash me clean. I think that why would we turn against that? We're always chasing things that have no meaning, no value. It's like, well, if only this was different and that was different and this was different, then I'll be happy. And it's like the Course in Miracles says, the ego shifts ceaselessly from one thing to another, thinking that we're going to find it, and it ain't out there. So it's just infused with light, infused with light. These beautiful, and I took a handful of them because Rob said he had 50,000 of them made. So he's definitely interested in getting this out. So I asked if I could have a stack of them, and I definitely want people to take these. And he says that this card is energetically charged with divine love and light. Place this card under food or water, write someone's name on it, and place this card on your body or place it under your pillow. Just this is infused, and it is intention, but it's all about, we have some fellas painting our house. You would have thought I gave them a stick of gold when I gave them these, because Ellen and I were talking to them and telling them about this, and they were so grateful and humbled by this gift. And this is it's simple. It's not gold, but it's far greater than that. And just the intention. Take one of these cards and put your name on it, or someone's name on it that is in need of healing and prayer, because the world needs it. The world needs us. We're here to really move us all through this shift from fear to love. And so the choice is given to us, but it's up to us to make the decision. Which voice do we follow? The voice of love or fear? Simply do this. Be still and lay aside all thoughts of what you are and what you think God is. All concepts you have learned about the world, all images you hold about yourself. Empty your mind of everything it thinks, whether it be true or false, good or bad. Every thought that we think is worthy or unworthy. All the ideas that we may be ashamed of. Hold on to nothing. Do not bring with you one thought of the past or a belief you learned from anything. Forget this world, forget this course. That's what I love about the course. It says eventually forget this course, okay? Forget the world, forget the course, and come with wholly empty hands unto your God. I love that. It seems so light. It's not such a heavy burden to carry. There's nothing to fix or change. I know that there's major miracles just knocking at the door waiting for us to welcome them in, but that's part of the gig here. I believe we're in a free will situation here, so we have to be the ones to choose which voice, which teacher that we're following. Ask and receive, but don't make demands, nor point the road for God the way God should appear to you. The way to reach him is merely to let him in, for in that way your reality is proclaimed as well. And I think that this one little statement, don't make demands or point the road for God to come in. It's like, okay, God, here's what I want and here's what I think you need to do. And that's not surrender, that's still manipulation. It's about that full surrender, letting go of our self-identity, letting go of our judgments. It really is a call for total spiritual surrender and spiritual maturity, because still so many of us want to be dictated to. Tell me what to do, show me where to go, what to do, and how to behave. We want our commandments for living. Well, this transcends that. This is really about surrender to love, that creating this new world of peace and through forgiveness. In order to see, we have to also just reiterating this point that the light is within, not without. And the light is here. It's come for us. And this is a little mantra that I think is so powerful. It says, repeat several times, the light has come, I have forgiven the world. Say that with me. The light has come, I have forgiven the world. And forgiving the world, it says, and then realize your forgiveness entitles you to vision. Understand the Holy Spirit never fails to give the gift of sight to the forgiving. And then reiterate to proclaim again, the light has come, I have forgiven the world. And then, this course is about training us to think different, be different. Okay, so it's really paying attention, guarding everything we think, watching. You're sort of like, as Mary Morrissey says, I love this, notice what you're noticing. So you're always just sort of like, okay, so you got this observer saying, no, you're not being too holy there, but not judging yourself, and that may be a little judgment, whatever. But the good news is we're, if we're in a body, if we're in this situation, we've still got some healing to do, and that's the purpose, is that to know that we can transcend this. So if we notice what we're noticing, it says, should you be tempted, say to anyone who seems to pull you back into darkness, The light has come, I have forgiven you. So if you're watching politics on TV or you're watching the state of affairs, and you see somebody getting you all charged up, just bless them and say, the light has come, I have forgiven you. And it's not about so that's not saying I'm forgiving you even though you're the biggest schmuck on the planet and I can't believe that you even think this way. That's not the forgiveness as it speaks of. The forgiveness is, I choose to see you in your sinlessness instead of the schmuck I've made you out to be in my mind, okay? So it's really, the forgiveness comes back to me. It has nothing to do with that other person. So since we live in an energetic universe, a vibrational universe, it's just about that vibration of peace, offering forgiveness. It all boils down to self-forgiveness. Well, back to the thought, the truth, that this is a very personal journey. We're all on our own path. It has nothing to do with anyone else, as much as we'd like to fix and change and tell everyone what we think. Oh, I know better on this. I was just telling Ellen this morning, I knew this is how you need to handle this situation. I mean, I'm right there. If you only did this, then there's, So, but she's like, she didn't like that. Thank you for sharing, right? And, so, the personal journey, we must have compassion for those who choose not to face their pain and heal it. They are just not ready to fight the inner battle. If you are courageous enough to do so, you will continually outgrow those who don't. This doesn't mean you love them any less. It means you understand the laws of energy, and sometimes it's best to love someone from a distance. We have to respect people's free will without choosing to wallow in their stagnation along with them. To do that is not honoring yourself. So we have to allow everyone the dignity of their own journey. How often do we just want to get in and fix it? And some people will leave, and that's perfect. It's okay. As I said earlier, we're not in the convincing business. I can't tell you how many times I've tried to, in the past, convince people to, oh, but you don't understand, and blah, 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 blah. It just makes it worse. It's like, give everybody the freedom to be who they are, but love them for their choices and decisions. It's about totally honoring and respecting everybody's path. Now, two more things before I close. I found this really interesting. I love Carolyn Mace. I mean, this woman's she's a wonderful teacher. I followed her for over 20 years now. She's wonderful. And she said, guidance overload. I love this. It says it's a form of psychic spiritual congestion that results when one continually seeks insight into the same life situation, yet never responds with any choice or action. Oh my God. Well, I've got about 20-some years experience being in spiritual community, and I've noticed the patterns, okay, of some of us, and I'll include myself in this. It's like, I've got this issue, and I'm going to chase this, I'm going to chase that, and I'm going to chase this, I'm going to chase that, and I want you to fix it, and oh, they've got the answer, and they got the answer, and it's like it's like that spiritual overload, that spiritual congestion, because we're looking outside for the answer, but we haven't really made that choice, decision, or taken action for ourselves. And so we want something or someone outside to fix it. And I think it was Ramtha. I love the statement that Ramtha said. She goes, you want to know why you're depressed? It's because you want someone out here to fix it for you, and you know that they can't. And so and that just always puts it back on ourselves. So the greatest gift we can give ourselves is to take responsibility, shine the light on those dark places within us. We all have them. We're all afraid of something. We've all got judgments. It's not anything to beat ourselves up for, but it's about knowing that there ain't nothing out here. And the greatest gift we can do as light workers in this world is to be that example of change. And when we see a brother or a sister or a situation that's upsetting, challenging, fearful, we don't have to fix it. We just have to see it differently. We have to come from our heart, just blast them with love. And that's the greatest gift we can offer to ourselves and the world, truly, truly. So we have all the tools. We have been, and we've got every tool we need to awake. And it's actually a pretty simple path if we just allow ourselves to do it. Take responsibility, be still, go within, and choose love in everything. So in conclusion, light appears to be a fundamental part of our being. It's hard-coded into our very bodies to function with directly and through light. On top of that, the fact that we can affect light with our intentions alone is outstanding. It would appear those New Age hippies are right when they said we are all beings of light. And yes, we are. So we're all New Age hippies, and that's a good thing. And we're beings of light, and it's time to live that way. Peace and love prevails on earth, and you are the light of the world, and so it is. Namaste. Namaste.